Shalom, shalom. Today's daily bread is coming from Ephesians 2, 8 through 9. The first thing I try to do when I wake is, you know, I have a daily scripture that's given to me. I'll dig into that and I'll read it, meditate on that for a minute. Because a while back, you know, I kind of strayed. And when I was reevaluating what was it that caused me to err, I realized I stopped with my daily disciplines of reading scripture, meditating, and I began to compromise my boundaries as far as people, places, and things that I interacted with. And so, as I acknowledged and came to that conclusion, I realized the first step to digging myself or allowing Yah to assist me in digging myself out of this hole was to begin to place the word on my mind. So the first thing you do in the morning can kind of dictate which train of thought your brain or your mind is going to pursue. So I start with word, and these daily breads kind of assist me with that. So Ephesians 2, 8 through 9. It says, you are saved by grace through faith. It's not of yourself, it is the gift of Yah. As I read that scripture, I asked myself, how is it that believers who believe in the same thing or profess they believe in the same thing that we do, um, or that I do, or you do, how is it that along their spiritual walk they get prideful or judgmental? This particular scripture tells us that we are all saved by grace through faith, and it's not of ourselves, it is the gift of Yah, which means that we all were in need of this grace at some point. That's the coming foundation, which means that they that behold need not a physician. We were all professed ourselves to be sick when we professed faith in Messiah, understanding that his atoning work for all humanity, or all who would believe, was essential for us to have communion with the Father. So if we all believe in this scripture, then how is it that along the way, religion or social status, political views, or whatever it is that men glory in, lifts men to a place to where they forget that the Ruach is here for all of our assistance. If we profess faith in Messiah, then we agree with his objective. If we agree with the objective of reconciliation, of restoration unto the Father, if we agree that we are all in need of atonement as we are reborn in Messiah and repostured into the appropriate relationship with the Father, if we agree on that, then there should be no uh, condemnation on the next believer. I understand that people err. I understand that the objective is that we mature. But if you look down on a brother who may be overtaken in the fault, it says, they that are spiritual restore such a one. So, in order that you be spiritual, you must be mature mentally, that you handle that person appropriately. You can discern carnal minded people, and you can separate carnal minded people from spiritual people. I think it's Ephesians is it Ephesians or is it Galatians that tells us the fruits of the Spirit? So, long suffering, kindness, meekness, those things are obvious in the way that they handle their brethren. I just find this scripture, I find it important that we take a second look at this scripture because we are all saved by grace through faith. It's not of ourselves, it's a gift. So we never apprehended this by any works. It was given unto humanity, or all who would take grasp. And it's very important that we as men don't judge because normally we're looking at the cons of the situation and not the pros, which in other words, we not seeing the progress in another person's life, but we're looking to find fault. And I was found myself guilty of this, and I believe that's why He allowed me to suffer a fall. You know, so that we humble, so that I would become humble and acknowledge, you know, you're not. I wasn't sufficient of myself. Now, like Shaul, the brother Paul, I boast in my infirmities because that allows me to abase myself constantly in mind and in conduct, in character. The closer you get to the Most High, the more of your self sufficiency is destroyed. So shalom.